India is all about mobile. E-commerce companies are now racing to embrace m-commerce, with more Indian consumers ditching web platforms to shop entirely on mobile devices. Analysts say the trend will likely take off, and research firm Zinov expects India's m-commerce business to grow by 850% within the next 4 years into a $19 billion market. With the majority of the country connected to the internet on cheap mobile data plans, m-commerce helps residents discover new products at low cost. The bottom line, Indians are shopping on the go.
Digital payments are taking off in India, where 2/3 of all new internet users access the web through their smartphones. Martin Sung takes a look at how technology is shaping India's mobile wallet.
There's a new trend in digital payment, and it's taking off in India, thanks to the rapid take-up of smartphones in the country. Research backed by Cisco estimates that the number of smartphone users in India will top 650 million by 2019, a huge jump from 140 million last year.
Talk about a mobile-first nation. Believe it or not, more Indians use this to pay for stuff, smartphones, than this, clunky wallets with I don't know how many credit cards.
95% or plus of India's commerce happens in cash. It's all cash. So definitely there's disruption waiting to happen. Now, would that be through a Apple Pay type of model where there'll be cards stored and the banks take over, or there'll be new banks forming, or there will be new wallets forming? I don't know, but definitely there is a disruption coming.
Estimates vary, but the most upbeat reports suggest that India's mobile wallet market could cross $11 billion by 2022. Alibaba-backed Paytm, which already has more than 100 million users on its mobile wallet platform, is betting the growth will be exponential as more users discover the convenience of digital money.
Your bill payment, your mobile top-up, your satellite television subscription top-up, all those things are your need. And in need also, we sort of have staggered approach towards things which masses need, like bus ticket, rail ticket, cinema ticket.
The lucrative market has attracted many players: banks, online stores, and digital payment companies. The question is, what will it take to win in this space?
The companies that finally reach out to the masses, the smaller towns, and are able to get them onboarded onto their platform and get them to stick to that platform, I think are going to be the winners.
Whoever gets the most consumers and the most merchants, not one or the other. You need both ends. Once who gets the both together will win. You know, India is the Wild West because they've seen all these plans play out. They've seen this value created by Alipay, value created by PayPal. They're not going to sit and wait and say, okay, you take it away from us.
But while there's hope that mobile wallets can help pave the way to a cashless Indian economy, there are constraints in the country's telco network and related infrastructure.
If you go tier 2, tier 3 cities, the internet is yet to take off. Now people are learning about mobile payment and mobile commerce there, but because the internet speed is not very high, so we do not see large amount of commerce transactions there.
I think the issue will come down to the physical infrastructure. How do you get these small shops set up where the recharges can happen? Right? How do you get the retail market to start adopting the wallets?
Despite the government's recent push for financial inclusion, still about half of the adults in India have no bank account. That is why mobile payment holds such promise to help extend financial services to the country's large unbanked population. Martin Sung, CNBC, India.
You know, Indians just love their mobile phones. About 80% of the people here, that's about 1 billion people, have one, making India the second biggest mobile market in the world after China. About 65% of the people use cheap, simple phones for calls and also for texting. But it is the other 1/3 that is where the potential is. They use more expensive smartphones to get onto the web, and that is the way that 65% of people here get connected to the internet, which has huge implications for e-commerce. Search giant Google thinks that the online shopping market could literally explode from $5 billion today to $75 billion in just the next 5 years. Martin Sung, CNBC, Mumbai.
I think, today India lives around these three important pillars of digitization, mobility, and social media. They want things digitized manner, they want it on the go as they are on their mobile, and they are connected to social media. So everything that we do, we try to make it as much digitized, as much mobile, and as much connected to social media as possible. And we have things like e-wallet or the payment banks in a way called pockets as an offering from our bank. And of course, today more than 60% of the transactions of our customers get done on these absolute high-end digital channels like the mobile and the internet. Less than 10% get done through the branches.
Given India's strength and depth and history in writing code and software and things like that, do you think it's a matter of time before somebody comes up with something which really becomes not just disruptive but threatening to private banks in India?
I think technology is here to disrupt business models, and technological innovation is here and has been here to disrupt business models. I think the biggest strength of any organization or a bank like ours lies in the in the ability to use this innovation to keep improvising on our own business models so that we allow the technology not to threaten our existence. And I think that's what we've been doing all the time.
Corporate India, the whole CapEx cycle, everybody's waiting. The Fed, when are they going to pull the trigger? China, how bad is it going to get, right? So for private banks in India, and you are the biggest, of course, ICICI, where does that leave you? Does that mean if the state banks are constrained, does this mean opportunity for you?
Indeed, it's a very exciting opportunity for the private banks. First, if I were to put the economic situation in full context, I think a lot of work has happened in the last 18 months or so in terms of the large policy work of allowing foreign direct investment in the most critical sectors. Then again, if you look at the macroeconomic factors, a lot of them have improved, whether it's current account deficit, fiscal deficit, the currency India has done better, inflation coming under control, interest rates starting to go down. So that's also a good piece. I think specifically on the private sector investment, the issue still is that the private sector has certain projects which have taken the full debt, but the cash flows on those projects have not started. So the ability of the private sector to immediately invest is a little bit constrained till these projects start generating cash flows. But in the meanwhile, I think the government has recognized the situation and the government spending has started. So if you see the last few months, orders on the road side have started going on. The NHAI has started increasing in its activity. I think gradually it will be railways, and then after that it would be defense. So one, the country is moving in the right direction, and I think that situation augurs well as a good opportunity for us going forward as well.
The GST, you've been quoted saying that you're confident that by April of next year it could be a done deal. And you think that this reform alone in GST could boost growth in India up to double digits. This sounds, to me at least, optimistic, but perhaps you could explain your rationale.
Yes, well, now it seems a little difficult to do it by April because the constitutional amendment needs to be passed. The government, I think, is trying now to get the opposition parties on board. Everybody accepts that GST is a good reform, but political infighting creates a bit of a problem. Now, why would it add tremendously to growth? Because currently we have tremendous inefficiencies. First of all, there's a lot of evasion of indirect taxes. With this legislation, evasion of indirect taxes becomes extremely difficult. In that case, you could reduce rates of taxes and still collect much more, which would lead to lower prices, inflation control, greater demand, and generally a virtuous cycle being formed.
Disorganized, fragmented, and dominated by the traditional family-run mom and pop shops. That was the face of India's retail sector that Kishore Biyani wanted to change when he started his Walmart-inspired Big Bazaar hypermarket chain more than a decade ago. He is now back to try and reinvent the model, this time to capture young, upwardly mobile consumers.
Opportunity in India in consumption is huge. Every human race consumes more than the previous generation. and consumption aspirations are growing in the country. Somebody has to make this happen. And we thought, why not an Indian company which can make it happen? So we are playing our second innings very differently, with more knowledge, with more information.
Biani's move comes at a time when the popularity of e-tailers like Flipkart, Snapdeal, and Amazon India are on the rise, threatening the growth of large brick-and-mortar stores.
When it comes to e-commerce, though, or rather m-commerce, because that's where things are really taking off, it's still more a case of mind share rather than market share. Now, the potential is huge.
One statistic says it all. Today, online shopping accounts for less than 1% of India's total retail market. But IT research outfit Gartner says India's digital business, which includes both e-commerce and m-commerce, could grow to a $7 billion market, expanding at a rate of 40% a year. Biani's Future Group also has an online component. Customers can order goods from its website and have them shipped to their homes. But this retail baron says a pure online play, especially in food and grocery, is not sustainable.
I believe the pure online players will be a challenge always, because the cost of doing business has to come down. Pure online is doing business very expensive way.
The government's recent move to relax FDI rules for single brand retailers is good news for those eager to grab a share of India's consumer market, but understanding consumer spending habits is key, says this marketing guru, and cheap doesn't necessarily sell.
India has been portrayed as the market for cheaper products, as a market for affordability. The truth is that even the poor in India want sexier products. They want better looking mobile phones, they want sexier cars, they want better looking apparel. So the market is not for affordability, the market is for aspiration.
While there's no denying the opportunity, winning in India's retail space still requires time and patience and the ability to commit for the long term. Martin Sung, CNBC, India.